everybody, and welcome back to Dislife Podcast. Thank you so much for making our show a part of your Disney life. I am your host, Mark Valentine, and if this is your first time joining us at Dislife, welcome. If you're a returning guest to the show, then welcome home. Please don't forget to subscribe and download all of our episodes over at Apple Podcast, on Spotify, or you can find us over at our host site, Buzzsprout. This is episode 6 of season 1. One of the topics when it comes to Disney travel centers around the concept of photography. More specifically, people always want advice on deciding how to capture their vacation memories, which, by the way, is no easy task. Now, I love Disney photography, and for most families heading to Walt Disney World for the first time, they're often making an investment in something super special. It is, a once-in-a-lifetime vacation for many people. So I understand where they want to preserve the memories. So in today's episode, we're going to welcome Jon Hinson to the show, where he's going to give us a rundown of capturing the kingdom through the eye of a lens. Now, I met Jon over at the Facebook group For the Love of Disney World, and Jon has a professional photography studio, and he specializes in portrait sessions at Walt Disney World and more, as he's going to tell you in a second. Jon lives in the Orlando area, and he travels to the parks frequently, and his pictures are also featured over on several blogs and websites. So what better resource than to ask Jon to come on and to give us some advice about shooting the parks? So whether you're a DSLR warrior or if you're an Instagram celebrity, Jon is here to give us the lowdown on the best locations that may not have been on your radar. So today's episode, it's going to be so jam-packed that we had to skip over our news roundup. Sorry, Isabella. And we're going to go right to Jon joining us via Squadcast. And let's see if we can get him. Jon, are you there?
Hey, man. How you doing?
Hey, Jon. Welcome to Dislife Podcast.
Thanks.
Hey, I just wanted to say before we really get started, thank you so much for taking time away from your family today for joining us here. I've been really excited to have you on, and I'm eager as a person who loves photography. I'm really eager to glean some knowledge from your expertise and kind of get into some spots that I may not have even thought about in terms of taking some really new and amazing perspectives of these parks from what you tell me. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
What I have done, and it was something I started with Melissa, and then I continued it with Matt, was I always liked to kind of begin every interview and, begin every segment with my guest host to kind of get their perspective of, their Disney story, their tale of how did they come to love Disney? How did you get into Disney? Was it something that you grew up with? Was it something that you discovered at a later age? So how did you come to be so passionate about Walt Disney World?
Yeah, it's a crazy story because, my wife and I both grew up in Florida. So if you grow up in Florida, you go to Disney. But for some reason, my family just didn't really do that. So the first time I went was when I was 13 years old. My brother had came back from Iraq, and we took a family trip to Disney World. And honestly, it was just so great. But I didn't really, go back again until my son was born. And it was Christmas time, and we were walking towards the Osborne Lights. It was the last year they had them. And a cast member pulled us aside and said, "Hey, do you want to do something cool?" We had no idea what it was, but we took a chance. And it was Mickey Mouse, a private meet and greet. There was no one else there. That was the first time my son met Mickey as well as myself. And from that moment on, it became our spot. So now we go, 2-3 times a week. We're always photographing, going with friends and family. It's just, Disney really holds a special place for us.
So that's so amazing to me that, cause we don't live close. And I've shared this with my audience several times. We are out of state pass holders, but we live in the Northeast. I'm from Pennsylvania. And that's just so incredible to me that you kind of grew up in the shadow of Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
And you didn't go.
Didn't go. And of course, all your friends and family goes, obviously my direct family, but otherwise, my parents just prefer the outdoorsy stuff like camping and all that thing. So we went to the mountains and we had great trips, but not the Disney magic.
Yeah. Well, you can, now do you sell them on the idea of going to the parks now and Tell them,
Yeah.
hey, listen, there's lots of outdoorsy stuff. You can camp at Disney.
I know, they totally could. We should do that. We've taken them a few times, and of course they love it, because it's Disney. How can you not? But
yeah,
that's funny. I should have them go camping.
Well, so many of our family members, they don't really understand it. And I find myself in the same situation as you. Like we had taken years off from the parks, and then we took my daughter when she was 4 years old. We just had such a wonderful experience that like it hit us. It was like the light bulb moment. And we had vacationed so many places prior to going to Disney. We waited till she was 4 because we knew how daunting Disney can be.
Yeah.
With little ones, and we didn't want to overly, just personal choice. Some people do fine, but for us, we didn't want to, we didn't want to put too much on her before she was, a little bit grown up and definitely potty trained. It was just our thing. And then we had such a magical experience that we got bit with the bug.
Mm-hmm.
And we go like 2 or 3 times a year. And like we're the Disney people, so it's funny because our family members will kind of they don't razz us, but my wife's aunt is the perfect example. She kind of said to my wife, "Don't you get bored with Disney?" And we smiled and we're like, "No, yeah." Do you get bored with camping? Do you get bored with like going to Massachusetts? No,
yeah,
for one, it makes us happy, but two, if there were ever a place in the world that you would never get bored, it's Disney World. Because it's got, and I joke with I have some other friends who are like, they are anti-Disney, which I no words. I could say that. I was literally speechless right there. They're I have 2 of my best friends in the whole world are anti-Disney.
I always say they're doing it wrong. Like, please come with me. You'll love it.
Maybe in another episode, I'll have one, if not both of them on, because they had a bad experience, and I think it left a bad taste in their mouth that they tried to do too much in one day. They got a day park thinking that they were gonna they were going to take it, and it wound up being like one of the, like everyone's had the days where the weather's not good and things don't go right and the shows don't go off.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they had the perfect storm of in that one day that they visited. But I joke with them and I'm like, listen, you don't have to go to the parks to have a wonderful time at Disney. If you're a person who says, hey, I just like to go to the pool, Disney has
Which
some
one?
of them. Which one do you want to go to? Like I can give you a list of resorts that have incredible pools. Like go to Beach and Yacht and tell me you can find a better pool.
You can't. The sand bottom? Come on.
You can't find a better pool. People who are like, hey, we like to take the family camping. Go to
Fort Wilderness.
You can camp at Disney. And, when you get tired of camping, you have other things that you can, I mean, like I understand everybody's got their own likes and dislikes. Some people look at us like we're crazy for wanting to go to Disney all the time. But I tell them, listen, for the way that we vacation, it gives us something new every single time. Plus, it also gives us the familiar of we know the things that we love are there when we want to do them.
Yeah, it's crazy. It literally it hits every generation. So I mean, I don't know how they do it. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I was a cinephile. Like even at the youngest age, I loved movies.
Yeah. And
I don't know what it was about Disney animation in particular that it always struck a chord with me. Like the music that was blended with like these amazing fables and there was something about Disney films that always just resonated with me. And and again, for a kid that only went maybe 3 or 4 times growing up, the world of Disney on television.
So cool.
Was so cool. And that was my window to like this bygone era. Because Walt Disney was passed away.
Yeah.
He was passed away when I was a kid. I'm 40. But there was something about it that even the television specials, it was so appealing to me. And that was my window to this magical, happy world.
World.
And it was take your pick. It wasn't just the animated stuff. Walt Disney had the the specials on the nature specials.
Yeah.
Where they were narrated, and in some cases were narrated by, right? Am I cracking up? Some of them were narrated by Disney.
Probably.
Were they?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him.
I have to go on Disney Plus. He was such an
icon with like everything, and I feel like Disney's really good about like they only hire the best. Like, so I think that's just how they do it. Like, I don't know, like you can watch a silent animated film by Disney, and you are connected to those characters. They didn't say one word, but you're sitting here bawling your eyes out. It's just crazy.
Well, I know this is a little bit off topic too, but have you seen the Imagineering story?
Yes, so good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Again, that's speechless.
Yeah.
Even if you're a person that you don't get into Disney, you're not one of us, you're not a wonk that you love everything about it. And like Disney could release toothpaste and you're like, I'm on it. It's magical. I just bought 6 cases of it.
It's the best toothpaste.
It's the best. Like did you see Disney just released this? We buy it. But even if you're not that guy, I've told my friends, I'm like, listen, because most of them get Disney Plus because they love Marvel and Star Wars. At least my male friends, and they let their kids watch the other stuff. But I'm all about the other stuff too.
Yeah.
But I tell them, listen, watch the Imagineering story. Even if you're not like the most diehard Disney fan, it's hard to not be impressed with that level of ingenuity, creativity, passion.
With every decade. With
every brushstroke.
It was so crazy. I loved how that documentary was filmed too. Like every episode was so crazy. And you look at like, the Tiki Room, that was groundbreaking. And now they have, the animatronic from Pandora. Like that's just insane. Or Star Wars. Like how did they do Rise of Resistance?
You know what I appreciate as well? And again, this is a bit off the beaten path, but like as a person who loves photography, so growing up, I loved history. From the historiography perspective of how Disney has chronicled one decade after another, every attraction, like every decision, the photographs, the videos, the video footage of construction.
Insane.
That they had historians documenting every step of it to then pull this together. Like, it's just so cool.
Yeah. They really thought about everything.
To see how calculated Disney was to say like, here's a moment in our company's history that we want to make sure has been chronicled. And you get these interviews from individuals that like, they were contemporaries when they were doing it. It's not like we revisited them 30 years later. You have video footage and
crystal clear HD,
crystal clear footage of these individuals talking about the attractions back in their prime. It's like, I love it. I love it. It's
it is cool. Crazy.
So speaking of passion projects, how did you, did you have another career path before getting into photography? Was it something that you majored in school? Like, how did you come to be a photographer?
Yeah,
and photograph the parks?
Yeah, definitely. So my wife and I, we met in high school. She was a graphic designer and I was a photographer. And of course, that's what we went to college for. But we actually both worked for the same wedding photographer. And that's just, we worked there. And then I had random jobs waiting and stuff. When you're younger, you do that. And then now we have a photography business.
That's so cool. Like, that's the cliche that you tell your children. I love that. That you pick something that you love doing and you never work a day in your life. Like, that's amazing that you found that, growing up, that was a passion of yours. You went to school for it. Like, and then you turned it into something that now you do every day. It must feel like you don't, there's no, got to make the donuts.
Yeah. I'm really, really blessed and thankful that, I am able to do this. And it's funny too, because me and my wife work together. And so a lot of people are like, how do you do that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's the best. Like, I get to work with my best friend and wife every day. It's just, I'm really appreciative.
How many years have you two been the dynamic duo? So how many years have you been?
We've been married for 8 years.
Okay. And you've had the business since then?
7 years. Yeah.
Okay. So what, and I know that we haven't really plugged this yet. So, what's your company's website, or so how can the listeners find you if they want to connect with you? Cause we're going to talk about some of your services too.
Yeah.
Because I would love for our listeners, especially those who are traveling out of state, to know that they have a resource like you to chronicle their own, like, speaking of a chronicler, and a family history, to kind of say, if I want to, have these family photos that I can cherish 20 years from now, like, how do we find you? What's a good website?
Definitely. My website is hinsonphotography.com, and that's HINSON photography.com. that's how you can find us. And honestly, like, you can reach out even if you have Disney questions. I love talking Disney, but we'll definitely set something up for your photos as well.
Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah. So when you're doing, so let's pretend, for a second, like I'm hypothetically, you and I are speaking to each other for the FaceTime, for first time. And I call you, I say, hey, Jon, my family's coming down. My name's Mark and my wife is Linda. We have a daughter, Bella. And, we want to book some vacation shoots with you. How does it work? Do your clients tell you, Jon, I want to get photos in front of the castle, in front of Big Thunder Mountain, in front of the Haunted Mansion? Do they tell you a list of locations they want to shoot at? Or do you say, here, like you say, okay, great, leave it at that. And then they come in and you pick the best spots for them and you stage your own photos. How does it work? How do you set up a session?
Yeah, so we kind of, the first phone call, we'll, see what you need. And then we just ask a lot of questions to get to know you and your family, like, what's special to you? Whether that's, if you come into Disney and you're having like a beach trip, we want to have it at the beach. Perfect. Or like DVC, we get a lot of people who have been coming to Disney for, 20, 30 years. They've stayed at the same DVC property and it's somewhere that really is special to them. And so that's what's most important, and if it's special to have the castle in the background, we will definitely make that happen. Mm-hmm. And we're also going to, give you some heads up on what's best and what'll work during, Christmas is going to be different than summer, Yeah.
And you do a lot of beach photos as well, in addition to shooting in the parks. That's a pretty common request, right?
Yeah. So, we live in New Smyrna Beach, so it's about, 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depends on traffic. To Disney, and we photograph all up and down the coast. It's really crazy how many people go to the beach and Disney on the same trip. It's just really fun. So
when clients do say to you, like, I want to shoot, X, like, what would you say is the number one requested spot for most of your clientele?
Definitely the castle. If there's any request, it's going to be, can the castle be in the building? In the shot, obviously.
In the shot.
Yeah. And other than that, it just depends on the person because, like, everyone has such different, unique favorites, So do you find that request creates some problems? Because, anyone who's traveled to Walt Disney World, it really doesn't matter what time of year, but you can't get a shot of the castle without having at least 5 or 6 people photobombing you. Like, we'll go in August and... Like it's comical because you get your Disney photo pass back, and you have to count the amount of people that are in your photo making a weird face. Yeah, some deliberately too, right?
Some deliberately, but like 8 out of 10 have the deer in headlight look, where just at the moment of the flash, they've got this like wide eye looking at the camera, like, oh, I didn't realize I was standing right behind your shoulder.
Yeah, right.
So how do you overcome that? Do you have to shoot at different times? Like, do you tell your clients, hey, listen, I'll meet you before rope drop, or like I'll meet you at like park close? How do you work around that logistically?
So definitely, I think the best time to shoot is rope drop, obviously, like an hour before open. They'll open Main Street. It's really, wide and the lighting is nice. And, of course, during COVID right now, that's possible to have an empty castle, but normally you're going to be photoshopping out at least, 10, 15 people.
Do you, so I don't know, have you done any family sessions in front of the castle since COVID?
We haven't. We have not. And it's funny, the last session we did was the night of the closing. It was a proposal that was supposed to happen on Monday in front of the castle, and it actually had to happen Sunday because that was the last night they were open. But since then we haven't, because the masks are required, and so we'll do the resort still because you can obviously slip it off for a photo or something. But I don't want to disrespect Disney in any way,
No, there's a fine line between upholding that mask rule, but there's also some common sense I think that goes into it. If you're I think Disney would agree with you too. If you could sit in a cooling station and drink a bottle of water and not get COVID,
why can't I slip it out?
Why can't I slip it off when I'm standing, on the boardwalk just to capture a photo if I'm socially distanced? So,
right. we just had a session today, and as we were walking, when the cast member was like, "Oh," to the clients, "Hey, put on your mask," and he just said, "Hey, we're taking a picture," and they were totally fine with it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I find the cast members have been very understanding, at least from our trip.
Amazing.
They're amazing.
So kind. They don't make it feel like they're yelling at you. You know.
No.
Yeah.
Well, there was one or two instances where we were corrected. There was a little boy who tripped in the queue and we didn't see him, and we got a little bit too close to him on Space Ranger Spin, and the cast member came up to us and reminded us nicely to maintain proper social distance while in the queue, and we were we didn't say like we were, but we thank you. Listen, they're doing their jobs, and it's like the other stuff that I've commented and said, it gives you peace of mind. It makes you feel better to know that those protocols are in place. Like I used the example when I was on with Melissa, that when we saw someone pulled out of line for their temperature being too high, like that calmed me down. Some people would get anxiety and go, "Oh my gosh, she has COVID."
No, it's working.
I didn't get that anxiety. What I got was good. Like, that's great that screening caught someone with an elevated temperature and they're not going to be in the park. Even if they don't have COVID, great that you've identified.
Right.
Maybe they have something else that you just don't want to pass on to someone.
Right. And we can still all enjoy the magic and be safe.
But that's also why I felt so safe, was I knew those protocols were in place, and I knew that Disney was being vigilant and they weren't making exceptions. Right. So as much as I want to find myself saying, well, I'm not crazy about the masks, they also enabled my family to have a wonderful vacation without fear of contracting something bad.
Yeah, in the middle of 2020.
In the middle of 2020. I mean, it is 2020. Like, if you have those photo shoots in front of the castle, do you prefer shooting in the morning or at night? Like, what do you find is the best sort of backdrop?
It's so magical with the no crowd, but if you go right before sunset and the skies are like pink and orange, there's just something about that. I definitely feel like mornings are the most practical, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do cast members generally, I mean, pre-COVID, they'll work with you to let you in for a professional photo shoot?
Yeah. You're not allowed to do, like, if you were doing like a product, like a commercial.
Yeah.
But just, families and stuff, it's fine. You're not, putting.
So they don't need. Yeah. So they don't need like a dining reservation. You could take the family up and say, "Hey, we have a photo session. We want to get a few photos inside the park with low crowds."
Yeah. Well, the first hour they open it up for you. Yeah, for everyone, basically.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. The first hours.
Do you do a lot of family sessions? Do you do a lot of engagement sessions? What's your number one type of booking?
So at Disney, it's like a little bit of both, like 50-50, I'd say. We do a lot of couples and a lot of families. And it's funny, too, because a lot of times they just want just their children in the session. So that's interesting. Because I think, they did, Bippity Boppity or something like that. And they really, want those iconic moments documented. Yeah. What's
your favorite memory from a shoot? Like, so what would you say was the most unique session you've ever done? Whether it was a proposal that was memorable, whether it was a family shoot that, there was something to celebrate. Like, what was obviously without revealing the clients' names, but what was of all the shoots that you've ever done, what was your number one favorite shoot?
I definitely, it's tough because they're all so special, but this one, I don't think I'll ever forget. The client actually hired us like the day before too, but it was Illuminations, the final showing of Illuminations, and the family had attended the first Illuminations and they attended the final Illuminations. And the mom wanted those photographs, and she wanted it to be a surprise to her family. So we were there kind of hidden in the crowd, and it was very crowded because it's the final show. And it started raining. It was just the craziest, most magical thing. And of course, when she got those pictures, she cried and went on and on. And I'll never forget that, because I want that for my family, we came the first and we're here at the final.
I love that. So cool.
Yeah.
But that to me that's what's so special about the people who really get the Disney moments. Like I've had so many of those moments, and I love people who have that sense of, we were here at the first one and now we have to be here for the last one. Like there are Disney moments that live in your family's history that it's, people talk about making memories, and that's Like that's exactly the perfect example.
Yeah, they literally made memories. And, of course, they were all the kids were different ages, and they made plans to come here together. And I just, wow. It's just, amazing.
It's wow.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself getting choked up
all
in
the
moments
time.
like that?
Yeah, I'm a total, I get chills. I'm ridiculous.
That you have to step back, compose yourself professionally, and remember, I have a job to do. I have a lump in my throat, but I have a job to do.
Exactly. And it's like being a photographer, you're there for everyone's happiest moments, like a surprise proposal or watching the fireworks, just anything. Or at the beach, I love the kids that have never seen sand before. It's amazing to them. And it's so cool to me.
It must be really special for you to get I get chills thinking of your perspective of being privy to all of these wonderful moments for these families to kind of just to live like that. And again, this is called the show's called Disney Life for a reason.
It really is it's a lifestyle.
How great is it to live that Disney life? Because you're living it.
Yeah.
You talk about magic. That's it. You're there. You're at the epicenter of the moment.
Yeah.
For all of these families.
It's remarkable. I sometimes I have to pinch myself to wake up because it's
have you considered that? I know I can't be the only one who's ever had that but I think of the Disney life. You're right there.
Yeah. It is weird. Me and my wife talk about it a lot. We're wow. Cause our son is just, he's ridiculous. Like I said, we're 45 to an hour and a half away, and he'll be oh, the drive is so long. And we're Sawyer, people fly a long time to come here. I think sometimes, we want to make sure this is not normal. This is we live in Florida. We're very blessed, to be able to have this.
Yeah. We, it's a 2.5 hour flight for us, but we were a little nervous to fly.
Yeah.
So we drove straight through this last time. That's how
hours?
It was 17 hours.
Nice.
So we, and we read of so many people that that's how they go. That's generally how they go. So for us, that was a little bit abnormal.
They go okay.
It was great. It's tiring.
Mm-hmm. Did you drive straight through?
We did straight. So my wife, when my eyes started to go a little bit batty, my wife would help. And she was clutch on the drive home because we tried to beat a lot of the traffic, and we left at 4:30 in the morning. And I'm a bear if I don't get a cup of coffee and a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
So we were at the Florida Georgia line, and my eyes were starting to feel really heavy, and I just wasn't feeling good. And I looked at her. I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "Yeah, why?" I'm like, "I need you. I'm on the struggle bus right now. I need you to get.
Please take over.
Please, because I'm going to. If not, I have to pull over because I can't endanger us. Because so there were moments where I was like, "Why did we do this?"
And then you see the Walt Disney World sign. It all goes away, right?
It was. I joke. The drive down was great because we had something that we were really looking forward to. The drive home was
so sorry,
so bad. We were just just get us home.
Oh man, what was worse, that or Tragical Express?
Oh, that's tough. The drive was home because it was a 17-hour Tragical Express.
Right. And there's no Disney movies playing.
Well, the Disney movies coincide with your arrival, and they're waving goodbye to you as the music is. So that's terrible. That's just pulling on the hearts. Well, you know what that is? It's gotta book your next vacation,
right?
And it works. Definitely. every time.
Pull my finger, make it happen.
Just make it happen. So, what is now? No professional obligations. It's just you and your camera. What is your favorite? Let's start with park. What's your favorite park to shoot?
I know it's crazy because every time I'll answer differently, but honestly, today and most days I'm feeling Magic Kingdom because it's just there's so much reality there as well as fantasy, and it's just you can just walk seamlessly throughout it, and I just love that. It is just the best.
Well, there's a lot of variety too.
Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, as you progress through the various lands, it's,
Tomorrowland's futuristic. You have, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, all of those are just
And then I'm sure as the parks will vary, like, you know, if you go for a night session, you're getting some completely different looks and different lighting, and you're noticing
different. And that's the thing too. Like if you're photographing fireworks, say, like you can walk anywhere in that park during fireworks, and you're going to get a completely different experience. It doesn't matter; it's the same fireworks; they look completely different. Like
one time we took a prolonged trip. I think it was like a 13-day trip, and we had we stayed at the Contemporary, so we did fireworks every night.
For sure.
So we were never afraid to, you know, like the fireworks were on, and that was the time that we were like the people walking through the park.
Yeah.
Because we were like, we just saw this 3 nights in a row. We don't need to see projections anymore. And we watched it from the balcony of the hotel the other days. So one time it was one of those nights we were walking and we were behind. So, and like, I know this isn't photography, but it's another tip talking about just different perspectives of things. And, you know, that's kind of what the episode's about too, is it's called Picture Perfect for a reason. We had, I guess you could say a picture perfect view of the fireworks. Have you ever gone from where Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is and watched them from there?
Amazing. It's amazing when you're on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
That's how it started. So that's how it started. And we rode them as the fireworks started and as the happily ever after theme began. So like that was epic. Like talk about waterworks. Talk about waterworks. Like we're going down as you can hear happily ever after blaring. It was like it was triumphant is the only word I can use to describe it. So then we get off, and for the various other audio like features, we were standing kind of where the carousel was, like low key. I mean, and so many people think like if I don't get the projections, I'm kind of missing the experience. But when I tell you from that perspective, I felt like I was in the show because they explode so close. Well, it feels like it's so close. They're not over your head that you feel immersed in light.
Just like completely. And you don't have the crowd. So it's just your own space. It's really iconic.
See, now I'll take that view of the fireworks over watching from the front in the projections.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're talking dessert party though.
You're correct.
That's an experience. We have a friend that is a cast member, and they have like a reserve section, and he was able to get us in there without the dessert party. And I was like, "You are the best. This is just
that lawn section." So we've done both the terrace and we've done the lawn section. Both are cool for various reasons. The terrace is great because you get the seating, and you can sit in the chairs and watch it. And Tinkerbell flies right over your head from that perspective. So that was the first one that we did. And Tinkerbell flew right over the kids' heads, and the kids were, I mean, like that was the highlight of the trip, to see Tinkerbell fly 10 feet above their head. Then we did the following year, we did the same dessert party, but that time we got a garden view. And that was great because, again, you get your own space.
Yeah.
You feel like you have
there. It's so
fountains
pretty.
are there. It's so pretty. Very picturesque.
Definitely.
So what is so Magic Kingdom, I agree. It's just a really photogenic park. It's so whimsical. What would you say? I mean, it doesn't have to be from that park, Jon. It could be another one. What's your favorite attraction to shoot?
Yeah, for sure. If it is at the park, I do love Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It's just really cool, the cottage and stuff. As far as like not in Magic Kingdom, definitely would have to be Tower of Terror, because I just love it because you can even photograph it from Epcot. Like when you're in Morocco, it's a part of the Morocco building. And I just think that's so cool. And again, like any angle you're going at, whether you're exiting the Beauty and the Beast show or if you're by Rock and Roller Coaster, there's just an iconic view of it, you know, it's framed a different way, you know. I
love that shot. I have a few that are framed right from where the Beauty and the Beast show lets out.
So nice.
It's so great. I mean, I had a few that I turned black and white, and I want to hang them on the wall because they just look great. That's a great photo.
Should. Yeah.
You know what other photo I'm a sucker for? I don't know. I could go, I probably have like 50. If I open up my folder, my photo, like the collection of photos that I've had, I probably have 50 of just Spaceship Earth at night.
Oh yeah.
I love that park icon. I love the colors of it. It, like the way it stands out against the night sky. I love the fact that there's really, all the other buildings have such a low profile that it's very prominent. in that landscape that it doesn't compete with anything else.
It's just that. It's so nice. The lighting at night is just crazy with the purples and
yeah. But that some people are a sucker for the castle, and I don't know. I guess I'm just that guy. We always try to end at Epcot because walking out that building gives me the feels. Like that's the hook for me, and it's been since our first trip.
Ugh.
Since I had my daughter who was 4 went on my shoulders. We always take the photo of her on my shoulders in front of Spaceship Earth. And then, you know, like that to me that's the photo. Like yeah. I could take 50 of them.
Definitely. Every trip.
Every trip. And you could take it from almost every angle and then it's gorgeous. And I can't wait until that renovation is done.
Yeah. They just added the old new, glass things. I always forget the name, but yeah, it's really cool. Epcot is going through a definite transformation right now. I feel like in about 2 years, it's going to be perfect. So
it's a little heartbreaking for me. And I've talked about this on other episodes. I'm sorry, listeners, for the recurring trauma and that I am a broken record.
We're all experiencing it.
Yeah. I'm sorry that I'm a broken record when I say this, but so Epcot was, and still is my favorite park. It just can't get that designation right now because there's too many green walls up.
Yeah.
And I can't wait until that transformation is done. Like I'm very excited. Even in August when we went, it was so the monoliths are gone. I mean, you see this all the time because you go 2 or 3 times a week. But for me, having gone, I go maybe once every 4 or 5 months. So it's nice. The monoliths are gone. The trees are there. They've put up a lot of the shrubbery. Mm-hmm. As you said, the new, I really don't know what it's called. The new monument.
Yeah, monument. That's good.
Monument. That'll work. Is there, even though it's behind a wall and I guess scratched, I was seeing.
Yeah, while they were installing it.
Then steak scratched it.
Can you imagine being that person?
You had one job? You had one job?
Oh gosh.
Had you scratched?
We preserved this for 20 years.
But I can't wait until that park is back to its former glory. And I try to stay positive, but I can't complain too much because I always put my complete and total faith in Disney.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter. And, I used as my example, the Great Movie Ride. I was so devastated when the Great Movie Ride went, but I held out hope. I said, listen, if they're getting rid of the Great Movie Ride, which was the anchor for that park, whatever comes has to be great.
Yeah.
And
they did it.
They did it.
Yeah.
That ride. Wow. Wow. That ride.
Insane. I don't even know. We went the first day it opened and, there was a lot of like people who were like, wearing the Great Movie Ride shirts and stuff. And I feel like they were like wanting to not love it. And like everyone left the ride smiling ear to ear.
That would have been me.
Yeah. That would have been fun. Me. You have to you can't change it. So you have to just trust Disney.
And when you do, I feel like you come out the other end going, yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I left that ride. I left Runaway Railway. My mind was blown. I said, we have to go right back on it. I didn't know what to look at.
How did they do it? I always talk about the fountain. I know it's ridiculous, but how do they make it look like a drawing? But it's just crazy.
You are in a living cartoon. You're in the cartoon.
Yeah.
And it's 3-dimensional and it's larger than life. And the projections are so vibrant. And when they combine that with all of the wind and the motion and like all of these elements come together in a perfect blend to assault your senses that when you get off, we wrote it, John, we wrote it like 8 times because my daughter, it was her new favorite.
That's amazing.
And then, Linda and I talked about this, when that happens, that became her Great Movie Ride.
Yep.
So then I was like, I'm cool like this. Disney, what you just did for my daughter, like we're cool. Like the Great Movie Ride will live on in my heart and in my memory, but we're good.
Yeah.
And now
when you have grandkids, you're gonna be there with them and you're gonna cry all over again.
Utter faith in Disney. So
Crazy.
what's your favorite area to shoot? Like, where do
love.
you like to just hang out and just shoot?
Yeah, like we have really good memories of Tom Sawyer Island. I just love that because there's so many iconic views, like Big Thunder Mountain. You can see the castle. You can see Haunted Mansion. It's just really fun. It's just a cool area to explore. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't go.
I agree. I agree with you. I would just say, like, as you were saying that, I'm thinking to myself, like, listen, I'm guilty as charged. Like, I feel like people neglect that spot in particular.
It's just a different side of experience. You know, it's just, I don't know. Like if it's your first trip or something and you don't get around to it, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a great place to just absorb everything and just chill.
So let's get into, so I get, would that make your list? So let's, before we, like, cause we could go into that one a little in a little bit greater detail, but what I promised our listeners last week, especially people who are like big into Instagram, they love taking, you know, like hashtag Disney, you know, hashtag Magic Kingdom. You see so many people that go to Disney specifically to capture the perfect Instagram photo. You see so many photographers go just to collect, you know, pictures for their wall. And I promised like Jon Hinson's top 5 sort of off the beaten path locations that Disney files may not know about. Yeah. So what would let's get started. So it doesn't have to be like top 5. Let's just go in any order. So
definitely. So Tom Sawyer Island would definitely be up there because it's just so different. And I feel like, you know, let's say only 10% of people go or something like to that section. So it's different. People are going to ask, well, where is this? How did you get this? So that's why I love that section. And, of course, if you're like in Tomorrowland, as you're walking in from Main Street, you turn to the left, the mountains of Tomorrowland perfectly frame the castle. And I just feel like it's so cool because you can get the moat in there. You can also...
So wait, to be clear here, you're telling them to turn their backs to the purple wall?
Yes.
You just heard, ladies and gentlemen.
Purple wall is last year, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can so geographically, I don't know if you can appreciate what just happened here. John told you to give the wall your back. So
we're done with the purple wall. Right?
We're done. The wall is last season. So John's turn around, and we're looking through the mountain window, correct?
Yeah, it just perfectly frames the castle. It's just so cool. I've gotten so many like compliments on that any picture from there because it just looks iconic, and you guys can do that too with your phone.
And you've got the rock to frame it.
Yeah,
you've got the water right in front.
And it's for some, like the blue Tomorrowland mountains just contrast so well with the green trees. And then you have the now pink castle popping through.
What a great photo. Yeah. It sounds awesome.
It's really cool.
So to get back to the first one too. So Tom Sawyer Island, would that be to photograph any park attraction or any icon in particular? Or so like, what would be, if I'm going to Tom Sawyer Island, like where should I go? Like, what's a good photo? Almost like we just did with being in front of the purple wall, but turning your back to it. Right. If I'm going to Tom Sawyer Island, where should I go?
So if you're on Tom Sawyer Island, same thing. Go to the left. It's a loop, and you're going to first. You'll come across this like bridge, and on the bridge, if you look again to your left, so left and then left. Okay. You'll see Big Thunder Mountain. It's the coolest. You can see the entire thing. So one photo I love is of my son, and he's just looking at Big Thunder Mountain with his ears showing, and it's just so cool. And you're not going to, get that just by going by Big Thunder Mountain. You have to go to a separate area, You're so right, too, because we're never happy with the representation that Big Thunder Mountain gets. Yeah. And with the photo pass. There is a photo pass photographer. I like the geysers, right?
Generally, by the geysers. Yeah. But it's not a great framing of the attraction.
Yeah, it's of the geysers.
But it's of the geysers. But like I'm not a photographer, so like you can correct anything but they can't get tight enough with the frame to capture the mountain and you. Yeah. That really fills the frame. I always feel like it's just a lot of empty space from that angle.
And this does exactly that. It compresses everything. So it's the entire mountain's there, as well as, your subject. Or just a great picture of Big Thunder. It's really nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and if you just keep walking around too, like I said, there's views of Haunted Mansion. There's also views of the castle. It's really fun.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you take one tip from today, Tom Sawyer Island really need be explored for the opportunity that it's going to present for you to take some really great photos. Yeah. And John, like honestly, like just that one alone, we have been to Tom Sawyer Island once. I feel like I did not give it its due. But
I think there's no attractions there.
Yeah, in my defense, it was hot. I think we went midday. So that's going to be on our list to do for the next trip. So we have turning our back on the magic wall. We have Tom Sawyer Island. What would you say is another option? Another great hidden gem, somewhere that we can.
So I love Morocco and Epcot. If you have not just taken the chance to just explore Morocco, like everywhere you turn is just beautiful architect, and it is just amazing.
I did not realize until maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I was just speaking to a cast member how much involvement the country had.
Yeah, I heard that.
In Morocco itself, in terms of every single element, taking a real look at the authenticity of every single building, every single aspect of it, the country of Morocco said, if you were going to have a Moroccan pavilion, we want to consult on every single cultural element. I agree. Like it is, whenever we're talking dining too with people, I always try to say to them, Morocco is the hidden gem of the World Showcase.
Yeah.
Same
thing. It's authentic.
So many people skip over it because they're just very fearful of how authentic it is and think that it may not work with my Western taste. Yeah. I may not agree with the flavors. I may not agree with, different things that are going on there in culinarily speaking. And I always tell people, listen, don't be afraid of Morocco. When I had dinner at Marrakesh, hot take, it's the best meal in the World Showcase. I know this isn't photography. Restaurant Marrakesh was the best meal I had in the World Showcase.
That's amazing.
Boom! I just dropped them. My mic is on a stand, but if I could, I would drop it. But I
literally dropped.
I would. I'm also not going to drop it for audio quality's sake. But
I think with that restaurant too, like if you just tell them like, "Hey, this is what I like," they are very good about like
they'll work with
telling you. Yeah, like telling you like, "Well, you would really like this," and yeah, never be afraid. I feel like always it's Disney, so like they can't mess up too bad, right?
Well, and again. It's the other great thing is it's Disney. So if they did bring you an entree that you did not like,
they'd switch it. No problem.
They would switch it. No problem. Yeah. But honestly, like they will work with you. When we went, one of the individuals that I was eating dinner with wound up subbing an item out because he had, some allergies, and he said, hey, listen, I would prefer to get this in lieu of that. Yeah. And they worked with him. But I mean, the meal itself was great. The architecture, the inside of the restaurant was beautiful. I speaking of photogenic, I took so many pictures of the inside of the restaurant. You have the entertainment, which is there, where you have the dancer
great nightlife there.
It's great nightlife. Yeah. It's gorgeous at night, but I agree, in terms of photos and photo opportunities, like you can put your camera on so many things and capture, pick a landscape.
Yeah. Make it happen.
Make it happen.
It's so beautiful there. And I think like, for like two more options, I'd probably say, Star Wars Land at Hollywood Studios, the whole thing. It's just, I know it sounds ridiculous, but there are so many hidden gems in there. I can't even mention just one. Like if you just have the chance to just walk around, not even do the rides, like there, just so many hidden little things. And
see, that was a tip. I was very lucky. Like I think I hit that one early because I went for a pass holder preview.
Amazing.
And that was when they would only let in a certain amount of people for a time slot. So, and I don't know if you had a chance because I know you're a pass holder. During there was only one ride there that was open. So it kind of forced you to explore, but I have an entire folder of just light fixtures, like walking through the marketplace, taking
the
pictures.
Ceramic pots that are like people. It's just, oh my gosh, they thought of everything in that place. It's remarkable.
That's kind of, I mean, it's on the same level of detail, but that's like Harambe Market over in Animal Kingdom.
Another amazing one.
It took such effort to make something look so dilapidated.
Yeah. There's Joe Road. He is just, he thinks of everything. And like, I love that they literally go to the countries and they study and they come back and create something that's.
But you could take pictures of those lands. And I mean, like, obviously Star Wars Land, no one's like, where did you go? Did you go to the moon? But like, you'll take pictures from inside there, and people will ask you where you are.
Yeah.
Because you'll take a picture, like we've taken pictures in Harambe Market and people are like, where are you? Did you go to Central Africa? We're like, no, that's a land at Disney. Like, oh my goodness,
we're in the comfort of Florida.
The details. But that's one of the, I would definitely say that's the allure for people who want to know, like, what's so special about Galaxy's Edge.
The details.
It's the details. The way that even the sight lines of that you save for, unless you're standing in the absolute perfect spot, you can't even see the Tower of Terror.
No, yeah.
It's very hard to see beyond the spires.
When there's fireworks, Galaxy's Edge is remarkable.
I love it at night when, I mean, again, a lot of this is pre-COVID, and I'm hoping that it gets back to this. I didn't see this because the park closed so early, but I love when the fans would bring their lightsabers and illuminate the lightsabers, and they would all congregate by the Falcon.
Amazing.
Like, you know, like just for fans of that franchise to have something like that they can do. I mean, I haven't been to Harry Potter Land. We're not really Universal people. Sorry. Shame on me. And here's the thing is I love the Harry Potter universe, but I would imagine that affords followers of that franchise that same opportunity. But I tell people, like, if you're a Star Wars fan, even people who are like, I don't like Disney. I have a few friends that don't like Disney, which I'm speechless when they tell me that.
Speechless.
But I tell my friends who are like huge Star Wars guys, you know, they laugh at me with like the joke about the princesses and whatever. And I'm like, listen, man, I'm very comfortable. You can make fun of me all you want. I'm like, but if you're a Star Wars guy and you haven't gone to Galaxy's Edge, go to you have to go. It's
just so remarkable. Like you could spend all day there.
Well, and I mean, the tagline is like, live your Star Wars adventure. Yes.
Yeah. And when they bring that hotel, it's going to be even more so.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a cruise. No big deal.
It was like, what, $1,000 for 2 nights? Yeah, I'll do it.
Something like that. Yeah.
I'll do it.
No big deal. It's a once in a lifetime, probably more experience.
You know, I always find that whenever I've said exactly what you just said, it's a once in a lifetime experience with Disney, I've never had a letdown.
No.
Never. Like I'll do it and I'll say I'm going to do it at Disney because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I've never been let down by that.
No.
They've never disappointed me. So Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, and I think if I had to pick a final one, I would say Animal Kingdom, and I just love Asia, but the Asia Bridge in particular is just remarkable. You can like look over to the right, you see the moat, you see like now the characters come by there, obviously, but it's just cool, different. It doesn't feel like Florida; it's a whole thing. That
whole area is incredible, and if you're going to go and take landscape photos, right now is the perfect time.
Yeah,
because the traffic is so low. Whatever you take shots of, chances are you're going to get perfect photos with no people in them.
Yeah,
it's almost like the park, as if the park was closed.
Yeah, I definitely think I would suggest too. Like we talked about the 5 most iconic spots. I think like a lot of times people just take photos and they don't like edit them at all. And I think if people would just on your iPhone or whatever, just edit them, make them bright, boost the vibrance a little bit. I think that alone would like make your photos even more like magical. Just put a little oomph.
And again, I have a very good friend who owns his own photography business up here too. But one of the perks, folks, of, people always, so the other question that I want to get into in a second after I address this is the photo pass worth it? But one thing people always want to know is the issue of worth. If there's ever a reason why you should, employ the services of a professional photographer, it's for that. I have a friend, Bobby, who will take these photos and they're gorgeous on their own, but then he touches them.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the photo and you're like, man, I want to hang that on my wall for the next 40. That's, to plug Jon, and to plug his services, like you'll be so happy with the fact that you made that choice to have someone capture that moment for you. But then when they touch it, it's unbelievable to see a professional's touch on a photo like that. So
yeah, it really does make a difference. And it's funny, you're talking about worth and stuff. And I always say this canvas might be expensive or whatever, but I guarantee you, in 15 years from now, if I offered you triple what you paid, you'd say no. There's no way you're gonna, time
absolutely
doesn't slow down. But thankfully, photography is able to, preserve that moment.
And that's the power of what you do, is you're capturing a moment in time that will become priceless for that family.
Yeah.
And whenever, I don't know why I'm bringing this up. I'm sorry. But when you hear of like a family tragedy and they lose a home, what's the one thing that people always lament and cry over? It's not over the couch. It's not over the television. It's over over their pictures.
My grandparents' house burnt down to the ground when I was about 10, and it was really bad. But we were trying to find the photos, and I actually found the barrel of burnt photos, and the devastation in my grandmother's face was, these are photos from the early 1900s, just crazy. And we're lucky nowadays that we have digital that we can, back it up. You can have prints as well as digital copies. So
ladies and gentlemen, the cloud, make sure you back it up on the
100%.
100%.
Three places. That's what we do.
Jon, there's a lot of debate. I'm sure you see this in For the Love of Disney World. Like it comes up, if not daily, it comes up at least 10, 12 times a week. People want to know right now the worth of the photo pass. And we see this in every single group. People are, if they don't have an annual pass where it's already included, a lot of travelers are asking, is it worth it right now to purchase the photo pass, given all of the changes that are there? You go to the parks 2 and 3 times a week.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to my potential travelers who are thinking of going in September, October, November? Is it worth the investment of getting the photo pass? Yeah,
definitely. Again, what is that? $199. If you look at that again in 10 years from now, you're missing, your kid's first Splash Mountain drop. You're missing their first Space Mountain ride or 15th Space Mountain ride. Is that $200 really going to matter? Even if you're wearing it? No,
it's not.
You're gonna want those. And photography is about documenting history, right? That's what it is. So when you went to Disney World, were you wearing masks? Yeah. So it's definitely worth it.
Well, and this is how I felt, at least. When we look back on this 2020 trip and we see the pictures with the masks, we're going to remember that was the quarantine trip.
Yeah, that brought us joy. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. We have to wear masks. Yeah.
It just becomes a part of that chronicle.
Yeah, there's no erasing it. Even weddings right now, it's like, oh well, can you Photoshop the mask off my guest? I feel like I can, but I don't want to because that's your wedding. That's so unique. Yeah, you got married in the middle of this. Love overcame, or we really needed a trip.
I was just gonna say, listen. The masks were great because, listen, in the midst of all of this negative stuff that was going on in the world, your wedding was the light.
Yeah.
Your trip was whatever this event was that brought you joy and happiness, that was the light in the midst of all that. And so cool that there's that juxtaposition of that with the background of the masks. To me, that's there's something poetic about that.
Definitely.
It's cool.
That's the moment. I agree. That's what it was.
So, so people who've asked me about the photo pass, I've said, listen, of course it's up to you. If the masks bother you that much, then no, it's not worth it. We had to be a little bit more vigilant with some of the ride photos because some of them didn't come through, but we would remember when we went on the ride, we would go up to the attendant. We would say, hey, listen, we were on Rock and Roller Coaster Tuesday and we didn't get the photo. It's 2 days later. Can you pull it up? And they would.
Definitely. You can call them once you're home too. Yeah, we've gotten the wrong, people. They were there before or after us, and we just call up and they fix the account.
Listen, this is gonna sound. I love when I get other people's photos, especially scary ride photos. I have the best, and I know it's not my kid. I know it's not my photo. I have the best photo of a kid who his eyes could not have gotten wider on Rock and Roller Coaster.
Oh my God.
And it brings me so much laughter to
that
just
is amazing
to see that. Like I love photos, or I love when people are doing silly and nonsensical things on photos and they make their way to my file. It brings me joy and laughter. Like that's great.
And as you said at the beginning, like when you're looking at these PhotoPass photos and you see everyone in the background, that's a part of it. Like that's so funny. Like I love this app on my phone. It's called Hugie, and it's basically a disposable camera on your phone. So it does like this cool vintage filter, and it's just so neat to just take like funny, goofy pictures, you know, with like half blurry or whatever, you know. Just I feel like that's so nostalgic as a kid, you know.
So John, I try to keep these episodes. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you too. I want to talk to you for like 6 hours. I have enjoyed this conversation so much, but
Thanks.
So ladies and gentlemen too, like I can't stress enough. So if you, one of the other benefits of not just the PhotoPass, but when you have another photographer there to capture the memories, you can be with your family. And as the guy who was at least, you know, a lot in the early stages of my daughter's infancy. And it's great being the guy behind the camera, but there's something to be said about when you can be in the photos too.
Yeah.
So that's why I would push. So if you are taking a family vacation and you want to capture those moments, please reach out to Jon. Jon, one more time, that URL.
Yeah, it's hinsonphotography.com. That's HINSON photography.
And, you know, he would love to, even if you just have general questions, you know, feel free to reach out.
Any Disney questions or anything. You can also join the Facebook group for the love of Disney. We love having new people.
Yeah, I've pushed that now several weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And again, Jon is an admin over at For the Love of Disney World. That site, in addition to just being a place that's filled with wonderful people and the most friendly members and administrative team, you know, it's just a great resource for reaching out. You could ask questions about dining. You could ask questions about PhotoPass. You can ask questions about accommodations. No matter what it is, you can ask in that group and get a very friendly reply. And Definitely. There are individuals like Jon in that group who have years of expertise that can say, you know, here's some advice, or, you know, if you would like to employ his services, there's nothing like professionally touched photographs for your family to keep on your wall forever.
Yeah, I agree. I really appreciate you saying that. Yeah.
Jon, and I'd love to have you back from time to time, because I'm looking at the timer in Squadcast, and we're over an hour, and I'm not telling you this just because I've enjoyed talking to you so much, but I really could continue to talk Disney with you for another like 2 or 3 hours, and I'm not at Joe Rogan status yet, so you know, maybe if I get very devout listeners. And I could get some celebrities on. Maybe I could pull a Joe Rogan and go 3 hours, and people will stick with me without turning off the podcast. But I'm also trying to stay humble right now and appreciate for them hanging out with me for an hour. I had a blast. Thank you so much again for joining the show. Yeah. I loved having you on. I'd love to have you back from time to time. And I know, so like we have, we've pitched the idea to like Melissa, and, you know, asked if, you know, maybe Melissa or Bonnie or Matt or Dwayne, if like all 4 of us could come on Squadcast, and if there's some topics that we would roundtable, like I feel like we missed an opportunity with Mulan. Because I didn't have that epiphany, but how fun would it been?
Awesome
to come on.
I just watched that. It's so. Did you like it?
It's great.
I loved it. I loved it more than the original. I know I'm gonna get a flack, but
no, you're not alone in that. I felt the same way. I don't know why, and I'm not. There are films that resonate with people in different ways. Mulan, while the music was beautiful, I think also maybe I was at that age where it didn't quite catch me at a right moment in my development, that it just it didn't resonate with me like, say, Beauty and the Beast did, or Little Mermaid as I was younger. And like those movies were just magical. I was a little bit of an adolescent by the time Mulan came out.
Yeah, I think it came out like, what, 96 or something?
I was in high school. Yeah. So like I'm a senior in high school at that time, and it wasn't quite the same experience. It was great. But it just didn't catch it at the right time. But that's also why I tell people, like, if you've got little kids, you've got to go to Disney before they get to that age where it's like, I'm too cool for this.
12, right?
Yeah, I'm too cool for this now, Mom.
Yeah.
So, but if you get them early,
get them hooked.
It stays magical forever.
For sure.
Jon, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful week. Thank you for living your best Disney life with us. I appreciate it.
For sure.
Thanks, Jon. Take care. So thank you again to Jon Hinson for coming on to the show. Whether you're coming to Florida to visit Disney or the beach, Hinson Photography specializes in vacation portraits for families and for couples. It's a souvenir that you'll never forget. Visit hinsonphotography.com. That's hinsonphotography.com, or call 386-478-8099 to learn more about booking your vacation portraits with Hinson Photography. Have a wonderful week, everybody. I hope it's filled with faith, trust, and pixie dust. Take care.